Okay, and I'm going to share my screen. Oh, so there'll be a little bit of an overlay. Oh, so this is kind of, are you guys seeing? Um,
We can see the screen and we can see you.
yes, I'm just trying to figure out, because I've got multiple things going on here. So do you see Scratch?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the front page of Scratch. We're going to sign in. We'll use I will use actual, Simon, I'm going to use your account just to start us off. Okay? And I just ended all of your accounts with PG. And our password is always the same, MPC12345. This is the front page. What we're going to be kind of covering today is we're going to be looking at, let me get this, we're going to be looking at creating things in Scratch. And Garrett's done this a million times. Yeah, he knows exactly what this is. Okay. So there's different areas of the screen. You have your little blocks, and it's like block-oriented programming. You're going to be telling things that are called sprites to do things. So you're going to be dragging things into this main area. Oh, and let me do my annotation. So this is our main character here. This is the one that we start with, and that's called a sprite. All right. Um, Notice the name right here, Sprite 1. Everyone see that? If they ever disappear, show, you can hide him and show him. This number is the size. Now, I don't know if your screen, the number is 100, but you can make your sprite larger. That's in the size. The direction that it faces. And that's done with this angle right here. So right now I have them, the default is 90 degrees. And you can add sprites. So for example, what you're doing is you're having this sprite do things. So I've clicked on the sprite and I'm trying to kind of go between your sprite right here. And this is where you tell which sprite you're working on because you can have multiple sprites. So I pull out one of the blocks of code. And this one says, what does it say, David? Can you read that?
Move 10 steps.
Okay. So I click on it. And did you see what happened?
Yeah. Move 10 steps.
You move 10 steps, right? Now you can change that number. If I put move 25 steps, and I can drag him. Okay, that's kind of the basic, like, how you get started. And then you can have him turn at the same time. So notice on these blocks, this second block, it has this like a little groove right here. And with that groove, it fits into the block above. So you can have it and you can drag it down. So if I click on this block, he's going to turn 15 degrees. So notice how that sprite just turned? So every time I click on this, he's turning 15 degrees. Now, if I combine them, what's he going to do now? What do you think he's going to do? Garrett, you know what he's going to do. What is he going to do?
Move 25 seconds and turn 15 degrees.
He's going to do both, right? All right, so now we've got some movement. Now, there's all kinds of movements. For example, the glide. The glide's a fun one, where I click on that. So he glides. Now, here comes some math for you guys. Does everyone see these numbers?
Yes.
So it's saying he's going to glide 1 second, and he's going to go to negative 53x seconds to x negative 53y7. Any idea what that might mean? Anyone? David? Garrett?
He'll glide for 1 second back to that point of origin.
Well, he's going to actually glide to this point right here. Negative 53, 7.
Oh, he's going to glide to the coordinates.
To the coordinates, but the x and y coordinates. Yes. All right. So if I change those coordinates, and I can change the glide number. So I say, let's glide 5 seconds, which means he's going to move slower. And we're going to talk about these coordinates. So negative 53, 7. So I'm going to put them up here. And I'm going to oh, that was slow. So our sprite went from negative, it took 5 seconds to get to those coordinates. So he's going to move at a slower rate because it was taking 5 seconds to get there rather than 1 second. So he's gliding at a slower rate. Now, has anyone ever played like Battleship? Yes, David, everyone's played Battleship. So what those coordinates are, and I'm going to give you a real rough estimate. They're the x and y coordinates. And I'm going to get rid of the mouse of the cat real quick. It's a cat. Yeah, it's not a mouse. Okay, so this is a very, very poor drawing. And these are the points. So, you know, on a normal graph, what's that point? What's the coordinate of that point?
The coordinate of that point is 0, 0.
0, 0. Because for coordinates, we use what's called x, y. And this would be 0, 0, because I haven't moved anywhere. So this line right here is the horizontal axis. Which line is that? Is that x or y, David?
X is this one, and Y is up and down.
Yeah, x is horizontal and y is vertical. So if I say make a point and I'd say like let's do 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3.
Then make a line in it.
I'm going to go, so my point is going to be about, I'm going to go over 3 on x and up 3 on y. That's x first and then y. So there's my coordinate right there. It's different for I think it's about 200 each way with the cat. But also, too, we have the negatives. If I go this way on the x, That's -1, -2, and so on going this way. That's my negative numbers. So a point right here would be, I went -3 and then up 3. And sorry, but most of the time I'd be doing this on a nice big whiteboard. It'd be a little easier to see. To go down on the y coordinate is negative. So these are the negative numbers over here. So say if this x is -3, this y is -3, this point is going to be -3, -3. So when I'm telling this sprite to go to -53, that means I'm going over here to -53 and then up 7. This is negative, negative. This side is positive, negative, but it's getting too crowded, and I'm sure it just looks like a big mess on your little screens, right?
It's really good. It's helping them kind of visualize everything. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure. So on the final quadrant right here, each of these quad, which means a quarter, does it, like a quad wheeler? When they say a quad, it has 4 wheels. This is 4 quadrants, depending. And so this last one would be positive x and negative y. So that one would be 3, -3. Now the best way to do that with the cat and the sprite is to experiment with the x and the y. Okay. All right, I'm going to clear that up. That's our a little bit of math for the day. Let's bring our cat back. All right, so this is what you're controlling right here to start. Now notice we have some controls up here that you can change the way that you're looking at it. So you're just looking at the cat. So when you run a program, you can use it that way. That's full screen. And you can make it smaller as well. Okay? All right, so what we've covered so far is the sprite, kind of where he is in relationship to the world around him. Next, we have the backdrops. Oh, one more thing about the sprites. Down at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can, is my screen share? Oh, I guess you probably can't see my tools for Zoom. So
It says
choose a sprite.
Sprite. Yeah.
Yes. Choose a sprite. You can make a sprite. You can paint, which is how Garrett does his wolf mechs. He makes his own.
Yeah.
You can surprise me with a new sprite, or you can actually upload a new sprite. So when you go to choose a sprite, it takes you to another page, and you get all these different characters that you can put in. So I'm going to choose Cheesy Puffs.
Cheesy Puffs.
Cheesy Puffs. So now look, my sprite gets some Cheesy Puffs.
Oh, a Cheesy Puffs off a board.
Yeah, everyone loves a Cheesy Puff. Well, actually, I don't too much anymore. But so here's something to think about too. If you're whichever sprite that you've clicked on is the one. Now notice I clicked on the cat, and these blocks of code, I'm working with the cat. When I click on the Cheesy Puffs, there's nothing there yet. The Cheesy Puffs aren't moving. The code is separate. You put separate code for each sprite, which means you can have individual sprites that are acting in different ways. Okay? So now if I want to have my Cheesy Puffs move away, look, they're running away. Okay, no, I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch it. I'm going to get that. Okay? Now, I'm just trying to introduce you guys real briefly to these things. So here's another thing to look at is the backdrops. in these backdrops, you can choose a backdrop, which is the area behind the Cheesy Puffs and the cat. I think the cat has a name. Let's just call him Kevin or something. I'm going to do a surprise. Let's see what we get. Okay, they're playing baseball. Or I could choose another one. They're out for a walk in the park. Or you can choose a backdrop. All right, what do you think? David, pick out a good backdrop.
What about castle?
The castle. Where's the castle? All right. Castle 1 or castle? Which one?
Right.
Castle 1. There we go. Our little band of Kevin and his Cheesy Puffs are going to the castle. Okay. Now, you can also bring in your own upload backdrop, and you can bring in your own. Like I know, for example, like with your Transformer story, David, if you wanted to bring in a picture of the San Francisco Bay Bridge, where were they? They were at Fisherman's Wharf having chowder bowls. Yep, you could find a picture of the chowder bowls that they, and put those in. Now, I've only showed you the code that I've showed you has been. I've just showed you some of the little motion ones. Now, if you look over on the left-hand side of the screen over here, there's a lot of different codes over here. There is motion, sound, looks, what it looks like, sound, events, control, sensing, operators. You can see them all right? You will get used to using those, and it's the same when you pull those in. You're going to pull blocks of code, tell your sprites what to do, and then, to get rid of code, you do the exact opposite. So if my Cheesy Puffs, I don't want them to move 10 steps, I can bring this over to get rid of it. I can give it sound. I can say looks. So I pull in say hello for 2 seconds. That's my Cheesy Puff saying hi to Kevin. Or you can switch costumes, and we'll talk. There's all kinds of stuff with yeah, let's not even go there. I don't want to give you guys too much because there's already a lot to think about. There's a ton already. Notice the idea of a costume. You can change the Cheesy Puff costume. So what I've done is I'm just making a little Cheesy Puff. Yeah, let's see if yeah, you know what? We're gonna get too complex too fast here. Okay, I'm just trying to give you an idea of how it works. One thing that I do want to show you guys though, what I've done right now, all I've done is I've kind of showed you how the area works. You've got your backdrops, your sprites, and you've got your code. Right here, we have our tutorials. There's a lot of tutorials in here, and the way that the tutorials work, if there's something that you want to be able to do or you want to learn, getting started. In here, you'll get a little video, and it will walk you through in steps on how to get started.
With Scratch, you can make your own stories, games, and animations. Let's start by grabbing a move block. We can click the block to run it. There are many other blocks to choose from. Check out the different categories. Let's go to the sound category and grab a play sound until done block. I'll snap this onto our move block.
Okay, so there's a bunch of little videos. We'll show you, it'll walk you through a number of different, tasks, learning how to do different things. What I have noticed is that they talk pretty fast in there, and they're like, doot. So, but that's why play and pause. You have a succession of little videos with discrete tasks on how to do different things. And you can always go back to these tutorials. So you can animate a name. You can put your name in there. It will show you how to animate that. Imagine a world. I know, for example, David and Dom, part of what you wanted to be able to do was create a story. And it's going to show you, it'll give you a video on how to create a story, code a cartoon, animate an adventure game. So there's a ton of different things out there. It'll show you Pong games, how to change size, add a backdrop, which we already talked about, add a sprite. So there's a lot of different resources out there for you. And you don't need to wait for us. You can try to figure it out yourself, because that's the best way. And I watched Garrett do that. It's a lot of it is trial and error, and that's great. That's how you want to. Don't be afraid of it. So any questions so far? David, Dom, Simon, Lorraine, Garrett. Yeah, Garrett's like, I've done all this stuff before. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm getting a lot of ideas of maybe some pre-teaching that we can do in January. to get
Yes,
them ready for the next semester, but obviously they can start playing around with it now, right?
exactly. Part of the best way to use this is to just like try different things. Going through the code, we haven't, there's a lot of like if-then statements and like kind of basic programming that get complicated pretty quickly. But those tutorials. Now, here's one of the kind of the last thing I wanted to tell you guys too is you can do what's called a remix. What a remix is, and let me get rid of this. From the main Scratch page, and I don't know if you know this, Garrett, but probably. You can take, so there's, and I'm just going to click on a random. These are Scratch projects that other people have done. To give you ideas. And my internet's running slow today. Everyone's on the internet these days.
So some of the pre-teaching, I was thinking about going back and revisiting some of our math, working on graphs, kind of knowing, positive and negative quadrants, so that they can have a better understanding when they use those, how to
Yes.
put in the right quadrants to get it working the way they want it to.
Part of that is, okay, let's see, let me try one that maybe it'll work. The mathing with the X and Y.
And even if-then statements too.
If then,
Yeah.
the coding, and you'll see. Okay, so let's see what their project looks like. Okay, so notice that there's controls built into this. I've never seen this one before. And these two buttons are great. There's the C inside. You can see the programming, the code that was used for this one, as well as remix it. What remix is you take their code and then you make your own project. So you can save a copy of this project and add your own ideas. So this is the code that's in there. but you have your own version of it now, and you can change it to what you want, which is really cool. So that's one thing that you have to know. And I don't know if you knew that, Garrett, that when you sign up for Scratch, you're agreeing to allow your code to be used by other people.
Right.
So when people see your project, they can take your code and use it and change it to make their own games or whatever it is that they want to do. So that is actually something that's pretty fantastic. Okay. All right. Any questions? That's a lot to take in. I think part of it is just using it and, I mean, trying it out. Any questions? Garrett, you've seen all of this before. Simon, you're going to have all of this in your account now. Dance Bubble Dance. So you can use it as you see fit or delete it. It's at scratch.mit.edu, and I'm sure Miss Lorraine will get you guys all set up on that. Are there any questions? David, did you have a question? Dom? Does this give you some ideas on what you're going to be doing?
I've already tested on it.
Hey, Dom. Oh, that's right. You and Fernando are working on it.
Yeah.
So the things that you were working on, were you able to get into the tutorials? Dom, did you just try it?
I just finished it.
You finished all of it?
Look at my future letter.
Oh, in your future letter, I'll read that future letter. Okay. I think, did you talk about using Scratch? Okay. I think that there'll probably be other projects that you will do. And Lorraine, also too, those tutorials pages, those are a great way to kind of structure little more discrete tasks
Yeah.
and little projects. There is a ton and I have to tell you, we had this whole curriculum built around Scratch, but it was a different version. But there's a ton of stuff out on YouTube of people who have done projects. But really, I mean, the website's pretty self-inclusive and kind of a safe space for students to find projects and such.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have those 3 weeks in January, since we won't have MPC, that we can dedicate to get some of this stuff, kind of the foundation kind of laid out.
Yes. Yes. That was a quick question that I had for next semester. Would you be coming in at the same time?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think that would probably work best for us. The only question was like for Garrett, would he be able to access the next step up with you, or does he need to register for a different class that might be offered at MPC?
You mean the next step of programming?
Yeah.
We would probably, it would probably the next level. Let me think about that, but probably there's online tutorials that I think would be kind of the next step
Okay.
that are, because the next step from this is, using the blocks of code, which is called the object-oriented, would be learning like HTML, which is the code behind web pages. There's a lot of like visual web page building interfaces, but the actual code behind it is a great way to kind of get started on and learning how to use code. It's like the next step. And I don't know if we said, I want to say we did some Code Academy with HTML.
I'm trying to think, didn't Jacob do something like that with you?
Yes, Jacob, God, I'm blanking his.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was a while back, but we can talk about that, but it would be in my class. But I will look into sort of what the basic beginning programming is, which classes have that, and we'd probably want us here just anyways to support that as well.
Yeah.
Because everything's online now, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so we're talking about the same time
Yeah.
for you guys, 9:30 to 10:30, Monday to Wednesday.
Well, let me double check, because I know Garrett and David are going to be moving on to the writing class with Ms. Rodsman, so I haven't checked.
Okay.
That's offered. So keeping those blocks might, unless
Mhm.
So she cut it down this semester to just 2 days a week.
So it's like one day a lab or one day, yeah.
It might be better to kind of put computer on that. I don't know. I'll still have to figure it out.
Okay. We have some time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
a look at it. I'll email you.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Now, did you guys? I can put you guys. That's pretty much enough in direct instruction. So, do you guys want to go into breakout rooms and work in Scratch and try it out and see about logging in, see if your password works?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, Garrett. Yes. Have any questions?
Somebody joined the Zoom call. Were you expecting